it's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown. It's good to be back in a tailgate downtown.
Welcome to another episode of Tailgate TV. I'm Brad Davis, along with Cody Morris, and a special guest. Special.
I can't do it like you.
Here on Tailgate TV, and we want to thank Bryce for being here, and we want to thank King Cutter Barbershop for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, we have to change our nicknames. It's no longer the Old Man and the Sasquatch.
That's right.
Today we have a great guest, Butler alumni, graduated in 2022. He was all-district basketball his senior year. His name's in some Butler record books for track and field. Didn't realize that till we were scouring the dark web the other night.
I guess I didn't either.
I was going to say, his face looks as surprised as ours did.
Yeah.
But yes, your name was there. He played some football. He's been on the coaching staff for the Bears this year as they claimed a district title and a 21-7 record.
Good year.
So Bryce Triebel here with us, and we want to start with the conversation about some of those districts games while they're still kind of fresh on your mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. And again, district, a lot of fun this year. Obviously, it's always more fun when you win, but a lot of good times. Now, going into district, Bears ranked number 2, but boy, the number 3 seed that they were going to meet in the second round, El Dorado Springs, tough ball club, good ball club, a lot of talent on that team. The Bears had just beat them at home. Last second win, 62-61, and then we're going to face them in the second round. You were able to be at that ball game, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I was.
And how'd that go for you?
It was exciting. That was an exciting game. You know, it's always something special when you can get in there and beat 2 teams in the same year. It's hard to do, especially when you turn around and it's less than a month.
Right.
So that's always something hard to do. But no, that was a really high energy game. A lot of screaming. It was crazy.
Right. It was loud in there and a fun atmosphere.
It's a small gym. I mean, you hear everything. It's kind of, everybody's packed in there. And so it's easy to fill up and then easy to get loud.
Yeah.
Bears were victorious. I believe that was 56-50, which was a little bit tighter scoring game than the first time they met. But boy, that was a lot of fun. And then they were able, with that victory, to move on to the title game. Oh boy, I remember those, because obviously you play a game, then you have a day off, and then you come back and play. I remember just kind of the energy around, because again, going to face Adrian in the title game, 8 miles away, 6 miles away, whatever it is, and a rival with us. And boy, that you could just feel it around town. You hear a lot of people talking about it. A lot of fun.
Well, and I kind of wanted to ask you about that because, that Adrian Butler rivalry, it's really turned into something pretty great. I think it was something pretty great, maybe fell off for a minute, and it's back to something pretty great. And, they beat us in the postseason there in football season and then beat us in the regular season. Yep. So then kind of a chip on the shoulder of we're going to go in there, and it was on their court and for the, stakes never higher on the court for the district title. Yep. What was energy like? I mean, how'd that game feel?
That's kind of one of those games you want to take advantage of, especially, we was talking about hosting districts down here instead for a little more room, and then they're like, no, we want to take it. And so then it's kind of like, okay, and then you get to face them in the district championship, and it's like, all right, so you asked for this, so now we get to take advantage of it and get to take a game at your guys' place.
I like it.
And so, yeah, that you're right, that rivalry did fall off for a little bit, and so, I don't know, it's kind of junior year, senior year, the rivalry came back once we beat them in football again, and then they kind of came back at us a little bit. But no, yeah, that was that game. Talk about atmosphere, better than Eldo's game.
Yeah, so much.
I love listening to the crowds chant, but listening to the back and forth is always something I've always loved taking.
Yeah, and I think there was numerous times I saw some clips. I wasn't able to attend that game, but did get to catch it on Prepcast, one of our sponsors. And I think there was moments I saw on Facebook clips of, the cheerleaders, leading the same chant for both sides at the same time. Let's go Bears, let's go Blackhawks, and which one's louder. And, that's the fun stuff. That's the fun high school environment, especially, when you have student sections that show out, which I think both teams did.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. And then Adrian now joining our conference, next year. So going to continue to get those matchups, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I had heard about Adrian wanting to switch into our conference, and I think that kind of caught wind this year a little bit. I wasn't too sure what all that about, but I got into that yet.
Well, Versailles is coming in, and obviously that's going to be I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We're losing Buffalo, which
I'm fine with.
I like Buffalo, but I don't like the trip out there.
No, I hate the road trip.
Well, think about them. The opposite way.
No.
They have nobody in their area.
Yeah,
they have to come. Their closest one is El Dorado Springs, and maybe Warsaw because it's right up that highway. But goodness sakes, the travel. Those kids, mercy, getting home late at night after every one of their games. I mean, Friday night you can kind of deal with, but during the week with it, if there's a couple volleyball games up this way or what, oh boy, that would be a scheduling nightmare if you're the athletic director for them.
It's a tough. I hated playing Buffalo because it was always on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Right.
You had to go down there, and then you get up for school the next day. And if you're late to the next day after a game, you get in trouble. And those are always the worst games, getting back at midnight, 1 in the morning.
Love their basketball gym. That was one of my favorites.
I think we actually, one of our very first episodes, did a tailgate picks of best places to play, and I think Buffalo showed up on the list.
Absolutely.
Loved their facility. Just wished it was a little bit closer to us.
Yes.
And love, nothing against Buffalo. Love Buffalo. Love the school. There are schools that I won't say them on air. There are schools that I dislike going to. There are schools that I don't like their culture. I don't like the people. Buffalo, not one of them. So going back to kind of your time as a student, you were able to play under a couple of really good coaches. You had Frankie Jackson there for a bit, and then I think your senior year is when Dawson came in, if I'm not mistaken. So two really good coaches. Were you able to kind of take some stuff from them, especially as you transitioned into coaching? And, what was the experience like being with them?
Oh, I'd say I enjoyed my time with each coach very much so. I wish I had more years with Dawson, obviously, just because I only got the 1 year. So
your senior year,
you don't get to know somebody that great in a season. But no, I felt like I enjoyed both my time with both coaches, and I took a little bit from each coach and tried to put it in my own thing. I tried not to take something from everything because you want to be your own coach.
Absolutely.
But I tried to take a little bit from both, and throughout the whole season, still talked to both and tried taking stuff, picking their brains the whole year. Because coming into this thing, I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
I just saw the position and I was like, sounds cool. And then I was going back to college, so I figured it'd give me something to do. And then I got in there and I was kind of like, well, I don't know what a coach does.
Right.
So seeing that side of the game is definitely different. I've definitely enjoyed getting to know the coaching side of things because it's a lot easier being a player.
Right. Sometimes as a player, you don't realize how much work goes into being that coach. Not only the games, because that's what everybody sees, right? That's what but boy, setting up practices to be organized and then getting across to your kiddos the stuff you want to get across to them can sometimes be very, very difficult.
But and I had the pleasure of Dawson catching COVID at the beginning of the season.
Right. I
was coming in for first day of practice, and Dawson hands me a paper and goes, "You're running practice," and so I was like, "Oh,
wow."
Okay, so then he's gone for 3 days.
Right.
So running practice for the first 3 days by myself, I was like, I already don't know what I'm doing, but at least I got a paper to tell me what to do.
A little trial by fire.
Glad Butler could teach you how to read. And you
can
make it through that paper.
No kidding. So let's go back to when you were a player. You played several sports. How many sports did you letter in high school?
4.
That's what I was thinking.
And did you know that your name was in the record books for some track records?
I actually didn't know that at all.
Yeah, I think you're like 10th, 11th, 12th best in a couple different things in the Butler record books. Didn't realize that till we Googled your name and it popped up.
My senior year, I planned on going out for track. And I thought I was planning on getting that 40-foot.
Right.
Maybe trying to get that 41 to get the record. And I thought I was in that range, working on it. And then I decided to play baseball.
Right.
And I just gave up everything for track. So I was like, there's no way I'm ever getting close. I kind of gave up. So yeah, no, here I'm in the track record book is really surprising, especially since that was one of my weaker sports.
Well, it was. But I remember your. Well, I'll say I do remember your senior year playing baseball. I remember the coaches being excited that you were coming out for baseball. I do remember that.
I remember there was a coach last summer that was excited you came out for softball.
Yes, yeah, I did. Yeah.
So, lettered in 4 sports.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? What's your favorite sport to play? Not necessarily to watch or to coach, but what's your favorite sport to play?
By far, basketball.
By far, basketball.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. No, I enjoy all the other sports, and I just did it to keep me busy throughout the year. But if I could have just played basketball the whole year, that's all I would have ever done.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I hated the drive to the city.
Right.
So I didn't play much city ball.
Right.
So I just stuck with playing this leagues around here, and then I just went 4 sports a year if I could.
Okay. So, and this doesn't have, even though you said basketball is your favorite, doesn't have to be basketball. What's your favorite memory from high school sports?
A favorite memory would probably have to be winning districts my junior year.
Okay.
And going on that ride, because then we went up to St. Pius.
Right.
And got to play up there and see kind of what a little bit of that action was like, going on past districts, seeing the state champion, or not state champion, going up to the state bracket, seeing how that felt. You know, it put a lot of confidence going into that basketball season as well.
I was going to say that was football.
Yeah,
right?
That was football.
Right,
yeah.
That was football.
Yeah, so when we won that year, I was very surprised, actually, because we were coming off, I think the year before that was 1-9.
Yeah,
right.
I think you had won two games in 2 years.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we was
right.
we was the sorry Butler Bears.
Right,
and then
right.
We come out with the new coach, you know, and every year you're always like, oh, we'll be better. And with the last 2 years being like, oh, we'll be better, and then you do the same thing. It's like we say it, but do we really mean it?
Sure.
And then Webb coming out in that first game, Webb really showed us how to win, and so we was like, oh, this feels pretty nice. And so riding that ride and then taking it on into basketball that year, that was probably the funnest. I'd say that whole year was probably my best year.
Yeah, and again, being on the outside watching you guys, you're exactly right. No, not only did you go from 1-9 to turning that completely upside down, and then going up against a good St. Pius team who ended up losing in the state championship, I think 6-0.
And I think you played that St. Pius team close.
Well, they lost by 7, I believe, if I'm not, or maybe it was 6. It was a 6.
It was 6.
Yeah, and again, they had some really good ball players on that team, and again, a penalty here or there, or a turnover one side or the other could have turned that game. And you were playing at St. Pius's place, so it was a great year for the Bears. And you're right, boy, that turnaround was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. And I remember looking back at the St. Pius game, and after the game, coach was like, "No, that game's on me." He's like, bad plays, and then it's like you think back at like everything I could have done better. Like there's big plays I let up too. It's like, you know what, that game could be on me too, coach. So
yeah,
so I don't think any games just let down to one person, but
it's certainly not. They're team games. When you win as a team, you lose as a team.
Yeah,
absolutely. Talking about that, and then obviously Cody was asking about coaching. What's the transition been like for you? And again, you graduated a couple years ago.
Yep.
So you played basketball with some of these same young men that you're coaching now.
Yeah.
How's that been?
It was I came into it like it wasn't going to affect anything.
Okay.
I was like, no. I said, this is a whole new side of things.
Right.
And I was, it was. I came in the first day of practice. I walked in, and as soon as I walked in, it went right back to feeling like we was buddy. And
Gotcha.
Like, and so Coach me and Dawson talked about it, and he was like, "You just got to be stern with him."
Yep.
So I tried my best on day 2 and 3 when he was gone to hold my weight. But throughout the whole year, you still got those relationships that I built throughout high school, especially with like Davidson and Carter.
Sure.
Playing more with them. So I always have those relationships, and so it's hard to distance yourselves with those relationships because you obviously don't want to make it feel like you don't like them anymore.
Sure, of course.
And then you got to give them a little bit of tough love. That's one thing. It's like Caleb Mallett, I will say, he was about the best at taking the tough love. And
Okay.
he'd stay after practice and work on the things that you told me he needed to work on. So
Awesome.
big shout out to Caleb for taking in everything he could while I was a part of it.
So let me just get this in while we're here.
Get it in.
This, we talked about that you played with some of the young men you were having to coach.
Mm-hmm.
You live with one of the young men you were having to coach, and your younger brother Dylan. How was that?
That was it was interesting. Mom gave us a lot of crap about things. You know how she was
I
like,
can't believe that. Go ahead.
She kept telling us all the time, you gotta leave it on the court. You gotta leave it on
Okay.
the court. And so I tried my best, especially as the first couple weeks of practice, I'd come home and be like, you suck today. Like, just downright suck today. I was like, you just look like you don't even care.
Right?
And so we'd get into arguments about it, and then I don't know, about a month in, we finally started getting to where it was like, we can leave it at practice and go home and mess around, and kind of didn't care about what happened at practice anymore. But the games were obviously taken a little more seriously, and I let Dylan know at the home what I expected of him and the team as a game, and if I was pissed off from the game still, I was still pissed off at home.
I got you.
Didn't change at all from the games.
That's a hard thing and I will say, the farther you get away from the game, just from age, the easier it is to that time that you're ticked off kind of reduces. But my wife says that about me sometimes. I'll go home, even doing prepcast, right? Which I have nothing to do with the game other than calling it. I'll come home and I'm like, oh man. And she's like, if it upsets you, and I'm like, no, it just drives me crazy when stuff doesn't happen the way I think it should.
That just is a better way of saying it upsets you.
You will.
You're just putting a bow on it.
Yeah,
Doing prepcast has helped me because I used to always get in trouble yelling at the games and yelling at the officials. And now, I got to take my headset off to yell. It's more work, and I'm lazy, so it's easier not to yell. But yeah,
So, I asked you about coaching your brother. What would your brother say about you coaching him?
I think he'd definitely say the same.
Okay.
He'd tell you, this is what he'd say. He'd be like, my brother always made fat jokes about me, knowing that I couldn't do nothing because he's a coach, so he'd make me run. That's what he would say. It's the exact word.
I saw a thing the other day, and I thought talking about making him run made me think of it. I saw a meme or something, and it was, my coach made me run laps because I was 5 minutes late for practice. My coach is my dad, and he drove me to practice. It's like, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say, the last ball game that I saw Dylan play, and I cannot remember the game, but he scored 5 in like a minute.
It might have been the Eldo game with some foul trouble.
Eldo game.
Yeah, some folks got in foul trouble, and he came in.
He did a great job.
The first time he got the ball, he shot it, it went in. He looked a little bit surprised about it, to be honest.
And
but
he got fouled.
And then he came up, and he ended up making some pretty good plays.
It's the coaching.
I want to. It was the first round of districts. I'm sitting on the bench, which was a surprise.
Right.
Mom wasn't too happy about that.
Right.
But I saw him first game back, and all I see is I didn't know Dylan even had the ball. I was just kind of sitting there like just taking the game in just because I'm happy to be back.
Sure.
And so all I hear is Dawson stand up screaming. He's just like, "Do it for your brother!"
Oh.
And Dylan pulls up a fadeaway and
Right.
just goes in, and I'm like, "How did he even make that?"
Right. Right.
That kid should not practice fadeaways.
Maybe he needs to practice fadeaways. He doesn't shoot him that
Maybe
well.
that's his one.
Yeah, that's his shot. That's funny.
So have you, as an assistant coach, because we talk about this with we have a lot of coaches on the show. What do you see, though, about your role as an assistant? What do you see as your job?
This year as an assistant, my job is basically, kind of, Dawson's got a lot going on in his head. He's a very busy person. He's busy during the games, and he gets kind of easily distracted too.
Okay.
So that's kind of helping him stay in line, keep in line, taking my own notes. That way I can help him remember, just helping him remember his things, going into the office 30 minutes early before bus leaves to help him pick up his stuff. Just trying to help. And then mid-game, I'm just trying to help him with fouls and timeout. I'm not sitting there, it ain't my job to call the plays. It ain't my job to write the plays. It ain't my job to, if I'm sitting there with a one-on-one with a player, that's different. But that's his varsity level. That's his game to coach. So I'm just going to help him in any way I can with keeping track of fouls. Hey, coach, you got 2. or letting them know, hey, you got 3 timeouts left, awfuls. So, just letting that know, writing it down. That way he knows at all times in the game. That way when we get down, we're down 1 with 2 minutes left, throwing the ball in. Hey, got to be 100%. We got 5 timeouts. So that way coach knows for sure how many timeouts we got. So that's kind of how I took this year. So I don't know how else people feel about it, but that's kind of what I figured my role would be, more or less.
Well, it's so important to take those notes and understand the because you will forget them, right? And
yeah.
Boy, when they're fresh, when you see them in a game, and some kid, and I'm just trying to think of something, but if a young man is just running on the hip of a kid instead of getting in front and turning him, and while that's fresh, boy, if you could jot down something or on your phone or whatever it is, and be able to bring that back up. Because I think kids, we talk about this a lot in here, is I think kids nowadays are so visual because everything's on their phone or on a computer or whatever. They're so visual. I wish, and I don't know how much the kids do now, but Huddle's such a tool that they can use, boy, not only coaches, but the players. But if you can relate that back and say, at this point, you were on their hip instead of getting them to turn, this will make you a better defender if you can turn them. And then they see it and they go, I see what the coach is talking about. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Connecting those 2 dots for them. But so, big question now, big question. Have you thought about coaching any other sports?
Yeah, the thoughts kind of gotten through my
Obviously,
head.
you need to coach some track as many times as you're in the record book.
I have. That's actually about the only sport I've thought about coaching.
Okay.
I've thought about going into track. I don't think they need any coaches. As far as I've looked, it looks like they've gotten a pretty full staff.
Gotcha.
They got their thrower-in. Coach Corder obviously knows. I'm pretty sure his son went and triple jumped in college.
Yes.
So, he knows no thing too about triple jump, long jump, all that. And I know he also knows things too about sprinting and stuff like that. So I know they kind of got that tied down over there. And as far as distance, I'm gonna stay out of the running things.
Right.
If I did anything, it'd try to be triple jump, and Corder's got that unlocked. So until he's done,
Sure.
I don't see myself doing much.
Gotcha.
Maybe, if football is dying and needs somebody.
Sure.
Because I like to watch football.
Right.
Don't know tons about football.
Yeah.
I played football, but I just did what Coach Webb told me to do.
Right.
And so when the coach is yelling at you every play, you know what to do every play.
Sure.
So it's easy.
Sure.
So you can go out there and play and make it look easy, but I don't know enough about it to be able to coach it.
I say if you can teach some, and not that we've done bad, so I don't want them to think that I'm saying, but I'll say this: you did a really, really fine job at cornerback. A couple of great interceptions you had. One I still am marveled about, that right on the sideline. I think it was here in Butler, right on the sideline. You caught a pass that I thought was going way out of bounds and kept your toes in and then bounced out of bounds. That was a great interception.
Yep.
I remember that one. That was awesome.
Yep. No,
Love that.
I had a couple. That was kind of I wanted to get as many interceptions as I could. I felt like I could get one every play.
Right.
But then I always found myself getting beat because I was trying to dig underneath.
Trying to step in front.
Then I'd always be like, I'm not fast at all. So if I gave up my 5 to 10 yard split, I was toast.
Right.
So that's where I lost a lot. But yeah, I'd like to get down underneath that way, because a hitch and go, I was gone.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's kind of where I struggled a little bit in the corner position, and I can't coach that. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you to do. I don't know how to read that, because I didn't read it.
Right.
If it was a hitch and go, I was always standing there and they're gone.
Yeah, that's your safety.
Yeah.
Right? Don't worry about the safety of the top.
Just tell them, hey, watch my film and don't do what I did.
Right. Yeah. See this right here? Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. I can pull up 3 different of my interceptions I got on a hitch, and I cut underneath and got it, and I took one back for pick 6. But I can also pull up 20 different times I got beat on the hitch and go and had to rely on Dylan Davidson to go tackle him.
Right.
Which he usually did.
I was going to say,
that's a good guy to rely on, yeah.
I'd be running. Mason would crash. I'd get beat on the hitch and go, and I'd be running after him, and Mason would just fly right by me and get him. I'm like, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's great. Yeah. That's great.
So we know that you have some T-shirts that you're selling. So I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about those, let people know kind of what all of that's going for, and then where they can buy some at.
Yeah, no. Due to an accident, my basketball season was cut short. So December 22nd, I was involved in a gun accident at my house. And so due to that, I went through a lot of adversity the last 2 months, being in the hospital. Most of those months come home for a week or two, and then we'd have to get sent back up due to another abscess or something popping up for infection. So through that time, I remember my last abdominal surgery, I remember waking up and my grandparents walked in with a Bible. And so when they walked in with that Bible, I kind of was sitting there. And then the next day, my girlfriend's preacher came up and talked to me.
Awesome.
And so whenever I was going through that, I remember like kind of just, I kind of piqued in me. I was like, I kind of want to read the Bible. I've never opened it. I've always gone to church, but I've never opened the Bible. So I finally got it. And I started reading through there. I was like, Mom, there's a lot of interesting things in here that are telling me how to get through adversity. Like, there's a lot of things in here. It tells, everything's about different stories. So, you can pick 5 different Bible verses to find your story. But I picked out my favorite one, and I told Mom, I was like, hey, I said, this says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And she goes, okay. She goes, what about it? And I said, I feel like I can beat this. I said, I'm starting to get kind of, you get down on yourself in a hospital. Hospitals are real negative, and so whenever I started getting down on myself, I'd go back and look at that Bible verse. So then I wake up one morning, and Maddie came down from Columbia and visited me, and I remember talking to her, and I was like, "Gosh dang, what are you doing on your computer all the time?" And she goes, "Oh, I just got something exciting I'm setting up." And I was like, "Keeping a secret from me?" She's like, "Yeah, it's a secret." So she kept it for about a day, and she comes back up the next day and finally told me what's going on. And so, yeah, on the front of the shirt, they put my Bible verse. Mm-hmm. And then Chad Anderson, my mom posted, I made a post, a big Facebook post, posting my different Bible verses that I wanted to put out there to people and try and talk to people. And Chad Anderson decided to post a big old post and put "Be Like Bryce" down there. And so they put that on the back of the shirt, which I appreciate all that, but wasn't really expecting that out of the post. Just kind of one of those things that fell into place, and I kind of took it and ran with it. So yeah, but we got a lady that we can put down in the comments. We got a lady that
we'll link it all down there and
contact. Yep, and we'll get everybody set up if anybody wants to buy some of those shirts, help support with medical bills. So I'd appreciate it.
And that's awesome, and what a great testimony that is, and again, you said it so well. First of all, it's amazing to me that people that don't read the Bible don't understand how interesting. You said the word interesting. I thought that was a really good word. Very interesting the Bible is, and because I think people go, oh, it's just full of a bunch of big words or the these and the thous, but it's amazing when you open the Bible up and really, really read it, how and how it applies even to today. That thing was written 2,000 years ago, but boy, it's still applies to things that go on in everyday life, and that's it. It's a great thing, thing that you're doing, great thing that you said.
Yeah, I think it was awesome. I thought it was super neat to see in the district tournament and beyond, the team kind of gave up their shooting shirts.
Yeah.
And they were all wearing Be Like Bryce shirts. I thought that was kind of neat to see.
Yeah, I was really appreciative. I talked to a couple different people about that, because I was like, not sure how that got set up. I didn't expect to see our guys come out with that shirt. I was sitting there playing on my mom's phone, actually, and Will Birch contacted her. He goes, "Hey, I'd like to buy some shirts." And I was like, "Hey, Will's going to buy some shirts." And Mom goes, "Okay." And I got sat in there, and about an hour later, I was like, "You don't think he'd buy them for the whole team, though, would he?" She goes, "No." I was like, "Okay, I didn't think so either." So then I roll into that first districts game, going to Adrian.
Right.
This was your first game back.
Yeah,
there,
first game back.
Which I remember we were sitting up there getting ready to broadcast the game,
yes.
And I walked down, and I'm like, I think that's Bryce Triebel.
Yeah, no, I was 4 days out of the hospiel.
Right.
And so my mom really didn't want me to go to the game.
Right.
And I was like, no, I said, I'll just sit over on the side
where
nobody's at. And well, then
out of the way.
We get there right as the team's walking out in front of me, and so I see all these shirts, and I'm just kind of taken away by it. And then I see the coaches, and they're like, "Hey, you want to sit the bench?" And I'm like,
"Yep."
yeah, let's do it.
Of course.
And my mom's like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I was
Right.
like, it'll only be fine. And Dawson goes, we'll protect him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I had Will there to protect me.
I was going to say, if you have to go through Will and Coach Dawson to get to you, you're protected.
If someone gets through them, we got a problem.
Yeah.
But no, I remember Z-Man, he was sitting there, Zachary was sitting beside me, and he goes, don't worry, Coach Triebel. If anybody comes over here, I'll tackle him.
I bet he will, dude.
Z-Man is great. We've
Yeah.
got Z-Man on Prepcast a couple. Yeah, Z-Man.
Yeah, no.
That kid's something, man.
He gives you something to listen to the whole game.
Yeah.
I love that bit.
He's
And he knows
excited.
his stuff, man. I mean, he's got it. He knows a little bit of what he's talking about when he came up there to do some broadcasts. He's don't turn the ball over, don't do this and do. I mean, he had a game plan.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first game that he sat the bench with us was our I think when we went and played Rich Hill in the Butler tournament.
Right.
And Dawson was out there kind of watching the games and lost track of time. So Z-Man was sitting in the locker room, and the whole team talks him into reading the board down. So everything Dawson's wrote down on the board and all of the matchups. And so Z-Man stands up there and he rubs his hands together and then starts screaming and smacking the board, and the whole team just loved it. And so I heard it became a tradition throughout the whole season.
Awesome.
They get there, and then I heard that some guys were being stubborn with him and started screaming while he'd scream. And so then it get him more riled up.
I know he's been a very good part of the coaching staff. Is that he's really helped him out, and I tell you what, the Bears have no bigger fan than Z-Man. He loves the Bears, and he loves everything about what they did this year, and I know Coach Dawson and Coach Birch, and of course yourself, appreciate him being there and doing everything he has done for the team. That's been a lot of fun. But
The team itself has been a lot of fun this year.
oh boy,
Like I said,
what
district
a
title,
season!
21-7, and a team that I think a lot of people maybe didn't expect that from.
No. And I'll be honest, me and Dawson, we had both had our thoughts. We both sat down before season started. Whenever we were still looking at a couple other players we're going to play that didn't end up coming to play in the season or
Right.
fell short. But we've had our goals and we set those goals, and then a couple of those things changed, and we reevaluated those goals, and we still thought we could achieve those goals throughout the whole season. And I remember we were sitting there talking, and we was like, it'll be tough. 15 wins is going to be tough with this group.
Sure.
We didn't have everybody knows it. Carter Trumbour was a lot of our offense.
Sure.
Shout out to him. So,
Sure.
But so if any night he had an off night, it was on someone else to stand up and have a good game.
Right.
And so we it's not like we had another, who was our other dominant ball handler?
Right.
These are all things you got to take into accountability. What if he fouls out one game?
Right.
And a tight game?
That's what I was going to say. You were only 6 deep a lot of times.
Well, and that was the fear in the district game is he had 4 fouls there for a while.
Well, was that the Adrian game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he picked up those 3 in the first half.
Yeah.
Right.
And so then when he picked up that 4th, in a close game like that.
Right.
And then he comes down and makes the last 4 points of the game and wins, and then everybody gets all excited.
Right. Sure.
But yeah, no, he carried a lot of the offensive weight, and certainly was a big part of the defensive side. So
Right.
when you rely so heavily on one player, it's hard to look at the season and be like, oh, I see 20 wins. But then you don't look at what the other players do, like Dylan Davidson getting all the rebounds and putting them back. Carter didn't make every shot he took.
Right.
Dylan Davidson got several offensive rebounds, though, and put him back up.
Right.
So, and then Jake, I think he got more aggressive as the year went on.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Gained his confidence.
I remember watching him play last year, and I was like, yeah, if he had more confidence, he'd be a lot better ball player.
Yep.
He needed to get confident in his shot.
Yep.
I think he did that early in the season when he came into the gym. Dawson even said something. He was like, Jake, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, because
Right.
the shot looks nice.
Right.
And so, when he got more confident, and especially working on it throughout the season, winning games, obviously is going to make you more confident. So when Jake stepped up and started, and then became a threat driving,
Right.
so being more aggressive that way, you got 3 solid ball players right there. that put three solid players together in every game, you've got a chance to win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you had Mallett and Payne at the end of the season, really. And, we said that just watching the games, especially with Mallett, and then Payne obviously stepped up in a big way. But with Mallett, we'd watch him in warm-ups, we'd watch him in some practice, hit down some shots, and we're like, if he could get some confidence, start doing that in games, it would be, to have another deep ball threat. And not to mention his defensive prowess,
Yeah.
And then he started to kind of hit some of those shots in the season.
That was one of the most frustrating things for me as a coach. And I was there for the Butler tournament, and then I was gone for an extended period of time, and I was back for the districts. And for that extended period, I got to watch a couple games. And the frustrating thing as I was laying in my hospital bed was why isn't Caleb more aggressive on the opposite side? Why isn't Chase more confident in himself on the offensive side? Because it's not like neither of them are the best at ball handling, but they are good enough ball handlers to where you saw Chase in our last game. He went in, and if he wouldn't have had a 6'5" dude guarding him, he probably would have had 8 or 9 points off dribbling.
Sure.
And Caleb, on his aggressiveness on defense, he gets a better left hand. He's got 6 points a game off picking the ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
So those are two players who I think gained quite a bit of confidence throughout the year, and at the end of the year hit a couple big shots. And I think that gained them some more confidence.
Shots that they wouldn't have hit at the beginning of the year.
They wouldn't
and not
even,
because they weren't capable of it.
Even looked at taking them.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so to gain that confidence and to realize I can step up and knock this down, I think that's going to be super beneficial, especially moving on to next year when you lose Dylan Davis and Carter Trumbore.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Because we started the year like, hey, like everybody's just kind of scrambling to where we'd take one dribble, not do anything with it, and be like, it's okay, we'll kick it to Carter.
Right.
Well, you can only do that with so much. And, it's okay whenever you playing teams down here that are small and only got one guy that can guard Carter. But then we go up and face teams that have 5 or 6 guys that are like Carter, and Carter can't do everything for us.
Right.
It really has to bring out the other guys getting involved. So.
Absolutely.
We have some fun ending questions for you. Some true or false questions.
All
We're
right.
going to see how close you can get to getting these right. True or false, the Missouri high school record for threes in a game by a team is 25.
That's got to be false.
It is false.
Okay.
Is it higher or lower?
It's got to be lower.
Okay.
36.
In a game?
36. It was Meadow Heights hit 36 threes versus Marquand Zion in 2006.
Think about that.
That's 100 and something points off of threes.
25 threes is a lot.
Yeah.
They hit 36.
I just didn't figure, that's-
No, well, who would have thought?
Yeah.
That was why we threw it in there, because we were like, he'll never get this question.
That was
Think
the
about
thing.
that.
You got to have like 5 3-point specialists just to get to 25.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
you got to shoot nothing but threes.
think
Right.
about 36.
Yep.
Yeah, if you take 36 shots in a game, that's about average, and they're hitting
They
36
don't have to redo
threes.
they don't have to redo the lane next year.
no.
They shot from the outside.
I want to see that shot chart.
Oh boy.
It's all threes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all threes. True or false? The average lifespan of a human hair is 7 years.
Of a human hair.
Yeah.
Hair.
It's on. Okay.
Hair.
7 years.
7 years. True.
That's false.
False.
5 years.
5 years. I got hair for 5 years and
That's it.
5 years, and then it's gone.
Yep.
And if you want to lose it
And some
earlier,
people lose it earlier than that.
go to King's Cutter Barber.
That's true.
Sponsor of the show.
That's right.
It gets you cleaned up.
Yeah. True or false? The most rare hair color is red.
Yep, that's true.
You know how many % of people have red hair?
I think it's like, I know it's like 1 or 2 out of every 1,000 people have it.
Yeah, it said like 1%
Yeah.
of the world has it. Last one. True or false? Sonic sells enough cherry limeade in just 1 year to fill 50 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Just cherry limeade.
Just
Not
cherry
all their
limeades, not
drinks.
drinks.
Just cherry limeades.
Like Butler Sonic? Or
No,
like
all
Sonic?
Sonics.
All Sonics. Okay. Yeah,
Worldwide.
How many?
50 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
I believe it. That's a popular drink.
Yeah.
That's a nice drink.
It's accurate. That is
Yeah.
their best-selling product.
That is
the
true.
cherry limeade.
Can you imagine? Think about that for a minute.
I love a good cherry limeade in the summertime.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Olympic-sized swimming pool. You take our swimming pool and fill it 50 times with just cherry limeade.
I wouldn't want to go swimming in that. It might be
Yeah,
sticky
but-
when you get
Think
out.
Well,
about
or the filter. That filter's going to have some stuff in it. at the end of that time.
We would like to, first of all, thanks Bryce for coming on and talking with us.
Absolutely. Enjoyed
had
it.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Like to thank King's Cutter Barbershop out of Adrian, who have sponsored this episode. They've come on. They've helped us with some sound engineering and then help make us look a little bit better, which is a hard deal.
Yes. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Speaking of Sonic, we'd like to thank them as a sponsor. Prepcast, CNS Graphics, Mid-America, Manual Baptist Church, O3 Customs, and the Butler Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely. We want to, again, thank Bryce. For Cody Morris, I'm Brad Davis. Thanks for watching Tailgate TV.